What's up, y'all? Thank you for tuning into Broken Now Revive podcast. I am your host, Jossie. And we got
Tanesia, aka TT.
what up, y'all? So
What
we
it
are
do?
back here with part two of her journey of singleness.
Yeah.
We did unlock a lot in the previous episode. If you have not seen part one, I encourage you to go check it out. She did unfold some things that I believe will help people who are currently single. And also she dropped some good nuggets. So I think you will definitely learn something from that. Girl, you so irritating. Okay, so yes, y'all. So we did sorry y'all. Okay, so she did currently take us through her single journey on the previous episode. So now we go kind of dive into the moment, leading up to the moment of like when you did meet your husband.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, we want to know what was your experience like dating as a Christian? So when you did meet your husband, what was that experience like? Because you know how you said that you decided to take out more serious after so many heartbreaks and just meeting and entertaining the wrong man.
Right.
How was it to date as a Christian, do it the right way?
It was completely different. So that's something I can definitely say. It was extremely different. He was a guy that I was actually not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even being unfamiliar with this type of person was a little difficult to adjust to because I was familiar with the guys that I was familiar with, as I stated in part one.
Yeah.
But dating was more like serious questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your credit score looking like?
I
I was like, you know what? I am not used to talking about my finances. Okay, we don't even get in these type of questions. Where did this come from? What's your credit score looking like as one? How do you manage your money? What was it? It was a lot of actually questions that he asked and conversations that we had that was uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
Because I never been off the surface level getting to know nobody. So when he was asking me these questions, I was feeling some type of way on the inside. I ain't never tell him I was answering them right.
Yeah.
But on the inside, I was like, why is he asking me these questions? I'm not used to this, Yeah. So that was completely different. Something else was different was not having conversations about sex. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't have conversations about sex till we got engaged. Mm-hmm. So that was something different that wasn't an interest that he had that we even talked about or thought to talk about until we were leading into marriage. So I thought that was good too and very different because it let me know that he wanted to know me. So he didn't want to know my body. He wanted to know TT, what's on the inside of me, what's in my heart, what's in my mind, on my mind. Different things like that. Like he did ask about my goals. What do you want to do in the future? Where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in life in the next 10 years? It just was a lot of tough questions, and some of them I didn't know how to answer because some of it I didn't think about, so that was something that I would say that was different with dating. Something else too was him opening and closing doors for me. That was something different for me because I wasn't used to no one handling me in that type of way. So yeah. I hope that answered the question right.
Yeah, that did.
Okay.
So it sounded like when y'all did date, so he was basically asking these finance questions like before the engagement, because like he basically came in a relationship with the intentions on I'm looking for a wife. So let's see if you're wifey material.
And you know what? That was the thing too, because he also let it be known what his intentions was off the gate. Yes. Not to say that I was his wife, but letting me know that I have intentions to get married.
Yes.
And then he also let me know to where he was at far as his pace. Although I have intentions to get married, I want to do it right.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I'm making the right decision. So I'm going to take my time.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't want us to rush into anything. So my experience with us dating was slow motion.
Yeah.
Like, and I actually at one point got impatient.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, I'm a person, I'm okay with the slow motion because I'm slow motion.
Right.
But this is snail slow motion. You know, this is turtle slow motion. Yeah. Like, it was that type of slow motion. Look. So
you said, okay, this is a little too slow.
Yes. And I think it was because me feeling like I knew that he was my husband, like that kind of made me like, okay, I don't think we got to go through this whole process.
Yeah.
Let's just get to the promise. Okay. Like, so that's kind of where my impatience came in at. But when I really think about it, it was actually beautiful to see how we got to where we got to, and to actually look back and see the steps that we actually took instead of us rushing to get there. And it's like, dang, how did we end up here? Right. You know? Yeah. So I do think that was something different. Everything was different to me. Even the love that he had for my son was very different. Like, and that was something that was very important for me. So even the love and the care that he showed him, and knowing that, you know, his father, biological father, wasn't present in you know what? That's when I started like him even more. Because one time we was having a date night, and I heard him. Actually, we was getting to know each other at the time. We wasn't even officially together, so I'll take that back. But he I think I stopped over there for whatever, over his house for whatever reason, and I heard him in the other room asking my son, what's your favorite color? What is some things you like to do? And that melted my heart, because I knew that my son's father never asked those type of questions to want to really get to know our son. And so when he was asking me these questions, I said, OMG. I had really adored him for that. Like, that had meant so much to me. So yeah.
Right. So that's really important.
It was very important. So yeah.
Yeah. So I know, first of all, you said like the pace was taking its time, but I'm like, you know, they're saying like great things, you know, it takes time.
Yeah.
Like, you take time to build something great, to build something worth you know, worth the wait for. You get what I'm saying? Like, so it's like when God have something for us, he don't just take us there. It's like it's a process to get there.
Yes, most definitely. Because I had noticed too, like even in the process, because we did spend time with being friends first, and then we end up eventually graduating to the next level where we were dating, then engaged, and then dating, officially in a relationship, and you know, engaged, and then married. And at first, I couldn't see the beauty in it because, like I stated before, I felt that I knew who he was already. So it made me become a little impatient. But then when I took a step back, there were things that were in me still that I didn't know. So, and I think too, he was a person that always challenged me. So he challenged me in so many different ways, because there were some things, once I got with him, is when I started learning that I had residue left in me. So when I was single, just not dealing with nobody, I felt like I put in the necessary work. But then it seemed like when we got together, I was like, I thought this left me. You know, most of it really did. Yeah. But then there were still certain things that was left in me that I didn't know until I got with him. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, okay, like I got to work on this. I got to gut the rest of this out. Like, it wasn't bad. that, but it still was a few things that I still had needed to work on. And even when I thought that, like, okay, let's speed this up, the truth of the matter is I wasn't ready yet. Yeah. So that's why I do feel like why I say like God's timing is perfect. And you don't want to rush nothing that you want to last. Right. If we want to spend forever together, we don't have to rush to get there. Right. As long as we both have the same mindset, we got the same goals, we head in the same direction, and we desire the same things, we're going to get there, you know. Yeah. But there were also a lot of pressure as well that kind of made me start getting impatient, because it was people around me like, you ain't getting married yet, you know, like when you get married, or they were being in my ear, you know, like, I don't think he's serious about you, and different things like that. So it started bringing doubt in me, and it's like, okay, you know, dating, when you ask the question like, what does that look like, it was pressure. Yeah. As well, from everybody else around me, trying to come into our relationship and rush that. Yeah. And then because I felt the pressure of that from other people, I began to start trying to apply that pressure in my relationship, which it didn't work, you know, because I had to learn your relationship has to grow there. Right. You don't just get there, you have to grow there, and nobody on the outside gets to determine that. Yeah. You know, as long as we ain't taking 10, 11, you know, all those long years, like, I feel like we was in the right direction, but I had to allow our relationships to get there. Yeah, right. Because it's like, what's understood don't gotta be explained. Yes, okay? Yes, girl. So true. So I know you did mention in the comment, like, you knew he, you know, you said you wanted to rush it because you kind of like just knew like he was the one, or your husband. So how did you know like he was your husband? Okay, so so when I say I knew, it don't mean that I didn't have any moments when I doubted, because I did. Yeah. But it was a time before me and him ever got together where I had dreamed about him being my husband. And it felt so real, and I was like, okay, like, and I think I had started sharing it actually. I was like, I had a dream, and I dreamed that he was my husband. And I had ended up going to a prayer like the next following day. And I didn't share the dream right away because I felt like maybe it was just a dream. And when I went to this prayer, they prayed for me, and they had told me that God was going to bless me with a husband. They ended up like telling me what type of husband I was going to have. Yeah. So when I dreamed about it, I'm like, he fit the description, and I just dreamed about this yesterday, literally. Wow. So then within a 3-month time frame, I had 2 more dreams. Like, that was showing me that I kept seeing myself in this gown, and he was always at the altar. I said, okay, like, maybe God is trying to show me that I'm going to get married, or he's just trying to show me that this is my husband. Yeah. I always had dreams that when I would pray and ask God, like, is this person for me, or is this my husband? God will always show me that it wasn't. This was the first time that I had ever seen anybody ever being my husband. So I was like, okay, this is something new. Without even asking, right? Without even asking God, it's just like, it's just a dream. Like, you didn't have to go to God, but like, oh God, is this my husband? This is before y'all even start dating. This was before we started dating, but I still asked God because I needed to know, why am I seeing it? Yeah. So I did still go to God because I wanted to know. I wasn't thinking about him. Yeah. And I knew who he was prior because he's a friend. He was a friend of my brother, and we also grew up in church together. But that was definitely something different for me. Like, okay, like, where is this thought coming from? Yeah. I was not thinking about him. You know, like, now, don't get me wrong, I crushed on him when we were kids. But in our adult years, I didn't crush on him. I wasn't thinking about him. So I didn't know, where did that come from? Yeah. So I did ask God, why am I seeing this? Yeah. You know, like, so that was actually a wrestle. But even after the dream, we didn't start dating until maybe 2 years. Excuse me. we didn't start dating until about 2 or 3 years after, or getting to know each other until 2 or 3 years after the dream. Yeah. So look at that big gap from the time I had the dream leading up until when we first started dating. Yeah. There was a huge gap for nothing but doubt to come in. Right. So when I would start talking to people about it, they was like, girl, every girl always say that and they never marry them. And like it was a lot of like, just because he fit the description don't mean that it's him. Yeah. And then I had people that I was close to, and they would tell me I don't believe that's God said that's your husband. But it was something inside that never let it go. Like I couldn't shake it. Like I wrestled with it so much that I used to pray against it. If I be honest, I would pray against it because I didn't think that, for one, that God would show me that he's my husband. Because the Bible said a man that findeth the wife findeth the good thing. Then why would God show me as the woman? So that didn't make sense to me. So I struggle with that like extremely bad, because I'm like, why would you show me this? Yeah. That don't make sense. This can't be God. So it did make me feel like it couldn't be God, because I never heard of and truth be told, when I would listen to videos, women would say that God showed them that there was a husband and they didn't ever marry him. Yeah. Like, so it was so much a doubt that was coming in between, but it was still something on the inside, which I say now it was my spirit that kept telling me this is what I have for you. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, well that's awesome. So you so basically you just had this dream and you like, okay. So it's like during that dream, like, did your spirit agree with that? Although you have to go back and ask God, because it's like, okay, so do you feel like it was the constant confirmations that let you know this is your husband, or was it that one dream?
Well, eventually I kept asking God, if this is my husband, why nothing is falling into place? Yeah. That don't make sense to me. Like, we not even cool like that. Like he's my brother friend. We only grew up in church together. Like if this is my husband, nothing is mathing. Right. Like, so that was my intake with that. Or my wrestle. Part of me it was a belief, because my spirit kept saying that it was. So there was a level of agreement there. But then there on the other side, there was a level of doubt as well. Because when I looked at the natural circumstances, it wasn't coming together. But then my spirit, it just kept telling me something different. And that's why I say, like, in the part one, I don't follow my heart nor my mind. I just follow the spirit, because it never leads you wrong. Yeah. So that's why, like, I feel like I was following my spirit. I tried to fight against the spirit within me, but it led me right.
Okay, period. That is so funny. But yeah, that's amazing. So did you find yourself like about to shoot your shot? Like, did it tempt you to, you be like, okay, now God keep giving me this confirmation, like, let me just go shoot my shot.
Girl, no, I couldn't shoot my shot. For one, that's not my style. Yeah. Like, I am a lady, I want to be found. Okay. But no, I didn't want to shoot my shot, because for me it was important. If this God, then he gonna make it happen. Yeah. So that was my belief in that moment. Like, no, if this God, I'm not finna force nothing. Yeah. I'm not finna try to make this happen just because of what I saw. If it is God, at the right time, it will come together. Yeah. So and that's what happened. I mean, it still took a little time, right. But when the time was right, he made it happen. He approached me. Yeah. So I also in the meantime as well, I prayed for him. I prayed for his spirit. I prayed for his mind. I prayed for his emotions. I prayed for his life, finances, anything I can name of. Like, I kept him in my prayer. So I did pray for him, and I feel like God used to reveal things and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, I know him. Like I felt like I was connecting with him without connecting with him naturally.
Yeah, that's so funny. So let me pray for my husband. Now.
Yeah, I was praying for him. I'm like, cause he got to be good when he come to me. Okay.
You are so funny. So, okay, so by you being single and for so many years, and just taking that time out to be with yourself, learn yourself, and keep them standards and everything like that. How was it like to adjust to dating and marriage after, because I feel like sometimes we get stuck in our ways. Like if you used to, like you're going to be used to being single for so many years, and it's not something that you pushed or became desperate over. It was a desire, but you didn't become so desperate. So how was that adjustment?
That adjustment, woo wee. That's a tough question that you ask, because when I really sit and think about it, it was actually pretty tough.
Yeah.
Because although I wanted this desire, I had peace in my singleness. So I had so much of peace that I was very careful that that peace did not get interrupted. Mm-hmm. So it was almost like I kind of gave him actually a hard time when we were getting to know each other, because I needed to know, were you worth me leaving this peace? So I'm like, I got too much peace right here to allow you in my space. And if there's going to be any chaos there, like I was too peaceful. So part of me wanted to stay there. So that's why I did have a difficult time, because my singleness was so comfortable for me. And I enjoyed it so much that, and I think I was beyond content. I think I became very comfortable. So comfortable that I felt like I mastered being single, where it was difficult for me to show up here because my mindset became singleness. Like I embraced it. Singleness was my friend, so I liked it. I learned how to live that way. And so it was very hard when he came in my space and trying to adjust it. But then it was actually, those were some of the hiccups that we had as it pertains to dating. That was a challenge, because sometimes he could tell you seem like you still want to be single. I wanted him, but then I wanted to be single. I wanted the best of both worlds at the time. I'm like, man, I really like him, and like I feel like he's everything that I desire. But then I like being right here too. I like it with just me and my son. I make the rules. I don't have to, abide by nobody. Like I do what I want to. Nobody can tell me what to do. So that was my mindset. Like I didn't want to. I was okay at the same time.
Yeah. So you just like, let me stay right here. I don't need to compromise. I don't need to adjust. Like, let me just stay in my comfort zone. Yeah. So basically, like now that you are married, I feel like it's your year coming up soon.
Yes, it's right around the corner. Actually, you got a couple of weeks left.
Yeah. So how is your adjustment now? Like, has the process been, like a little rocky? Has it been pleasant? You know what I'm saying?
I never lived with a man before.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. So when we talk about adjusting, there were it was a lot of adjusting. Because although in my mind, I'm like, it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be like that. I am going to tell y'all, take every imagination and fairy tale that you have in your mind, take that out, like erase that, because you will have moments where you will live in that fairy tale, but you do not live there. But you will create experiences that's fairy tale like, but that would not be your day-to-day walk. So that's, I'm giving advice a little early, but that would be my advice for sure. Because once we moved in together, I didn't unpack. I didn't unpack for 3 weeks. I asked God, is you sure this is what I should be doing? I prayed from the very beginning, before me and him ever connected, all the way up until now. So I say too, pray from the beginning, and you will never stop praying from there. Anyway,
you said, let me be sure. Like I need one more confirmation.
Yes, and he ended up telling me this is my will.
Yeah.
And when he gave me that piece, that's when I unpacked. I felt so bad because he was trying to like make me feel so comfortable, and he was just doing like it felt so excited. And I was sitting here looking like I gotta make sure this is my life, this is my emotions. So when I tell you that I did have some difficult moments with just trying to adjust to dating and being married, losing the mindset of singleness, because I learned you can't be married with a single mindset.
Right.
You can't exist like that. If you want your marriage to work, you gotta lose the single mindset. So not want to hear what somebody got to say, not being too content in that singleness. Then if you don't want to ever lose that, then you just gotta stay single. Because marriage is about compromise and holding each other accountable, and being patient with each other. I learned that we have to have mercy for each other, grace. We got to give each other grace to grow, and that's something I appreciate about him, because he was so patient with me.
Right, giving him a hard time.
I gave him a hard time, but when I tell you, he was so patient. Like he did not rush me. Like he did hold me accountable, and he would remind me. You remember you said you wanted to work on X, Y, and Z, and that's sometimes where the challenge be at, because you don't want to be held accountable. Like I know what I said. But at the end of the day, patience, love, gentleness. Like he, what I did, y'all.
What you did, girl?
Because the Bible gives us a definition of what love is. I had to put him up against the word of God. Girl, I did. Girl, when I tell you I was extra, but at the end of the day, I know I made a good decision and the best decision. And when I look at him every day, I'm like, I know God had everything to do with us. Like, I know he did. But I had to put him up against the word of God. The word said, love is kind. Is he kind to me? Love is patient. Is he patient with me? Love keeps no record of wrong. Does he always bring up my wrong? Like he did it. Like, so I did measure him against the word of God. And then also in 2017, I had this was before me and him got engaged. We sat down and we had like a face-to-face conversation. We wrote down pros and cons for each other. And we wanted to see like if the good outweighed the bad. After I wrote mines before we had our meeting with each other, I had remembered that I used to send. I would write prayers to God through email. I would email myself prayers like when my heart would be too heavy to pray. And I remember telling God what I wanted. I looked in my email search for hours and end up coming across the email in 2017 that I wrote to God, and I told God what type of husband that I wanted in 2017. And when I wrote down the pros and cons, I wanted to measure that as well. And I was like, God gave me just what I asked for. So I was very specific. And I wasn't specific with he got to be tall, he got to make this amount of money. It was not about that. And truth be told, everything he had going on for himself, I didn't see that. And I didn't want to see that because that's not what I cared about. I cared about if somebody had integrity. I cared about if somebody was going to love me for me. I cared about if a person was capable of loving me unconditionally. I cared about if this man will be able to properly love my child. Will he be an example on what I want my son to look like? So it was bigger than what his outer appearance, which he fine. But it was just way more bigger than what he had going on, what he was driving, all that carnal stuff. Because you can build together with somebody. But what was more important for me is, did he have a plan? Can he lead me? Because something I realized that just because a man wears the draws don't mean he's a leader.
Yeah.
He's supposed to take his position as the head of his house, but not every man takes their place.
Yeah.
So I needed to know, can he take his place?
Yeah.
So it was and I married him, so I guess he fit the category. Okay.
Yeah, you are so silly. Well, y'all, this was very lovely. It like beautiful. Beautiful. We just gonna give it up for the Hannahs. What was y'all hashtag match made in Hannah? Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful love story. I'm so glad that you came on just to share your journey, to help somebody, because I feel like, going from singleness to marriage, I feel like nobody really explained that. And we want to be able to relate to women out there. I definitely do like your process of, like how you said, like you didn't allow jealousy to come in, how you was able to celebrate others, how you was able to solely just be by yourself, like with no little text messages or nothing. So I do enjoy that. And then also just watching God, you praying for stuff. Sometimes we don't realize we pray for something until we standing in it. You get what you like, wait, like I just found this email and now I got my whole gift box right here and forgot I even prayed about this.
So true.
So I do admire that. So yeah, girl. Get your man, okay? So we do some advice. I know you gave a little bit. I don't know if you got something else you would like to give some advice or encouragement on today.
Okay, so something I will, if I had to give a piece of information, I will say pray before you pursue. That's something I do like to say. God knows the heart and the intention of the other person. So when you find interest in a person, I would say pray about them so that you won't waste your time investing your heart and emotions into something that God didn't intend for you. So that is something that I would give advice to. Keep God at the beginning, the middle, and all the way until forever. You cannot go wrong with putting God in the midst of your situation. It was also and once you pray, keep seeking confirmation until you just know. God will confirm it over and over again. However much it take for you, God know you. So if you say, I need confirmation, I just really need to know, be ready for the answer. Because there was times where I asked because I really wanted something. I had to be strong enough to still let it go just because God said no. So I had to take God's word when he said, no, this is not. And so save your own self the heartbreak. Seek, pray before you pursue. And as long as you got God in the midst leading you, you're gonna land you're gonna land at your destination at the right time with the right person. So stay encouraged if you out here single and you want to and you're looking for marriage. It is possible for you because it was possible for me. And be willing to put in the work. So the work in you will never stop. So starting today. And y'all have a good one. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode.
Girl, you sound funny. I will encourage you all. Something that she did say is clearly write a list, make it plain. People be having vision boards. Go ahead and write that list. Like, get your vision board out. Like, get your list. Be detailed. Like, be detailed with what you want and what you desire, and just watch God give you what your heart desire. And don't settle for nothing less than that. But yeah, girl, thank you so much again for coming. And thank y'all for tuning into Broken Out Revive podcast. You can email us at brokenoutrivive@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend. And thank y'all for tuning in. We see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.